Hi there, it's Eugene Ebner with BroadwayWorld TV, and I'm at the infamous Birdland in the heart of New York City with the one and only Broadway and cabaret star, Miss Karen Mason. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Eugene. How are you today?
So good. It's just a pleasure and an honor to be sitting and conversing with you today.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're very welcome. We understand that you have a brand new show, and this is going to be, as they call it, your debut in the new Birdland Theater.
Right, kind of old for a debut, and it's kind of after the fact, but yes, here at the Birdland Theater will be my debut.
Your debut, and it's entitled For the First Time, and I love this. It's all new, it's all exciting, and it's all memorized.
I know. Well, that part made me laugh. You know, it's funny, and I don't mean to disparage anyone, but I guess I sort of am, that people have iPads now and music stands.
That's
and
true.
I get if you have, if you're older and have memory issues, God knows I'm familiar with that. But it just seems, I don't know, old school, I guess. And so that just made me laugh.
Well, I think it's fun, and I think it made me go, what does she mean by this? No, but it draws you in.
Semi-snarky.
Yeah. But as I'm getting to know you more on a personal level, I can tell that you're just such a very kind, humble, positive person. How have you been able to stay that way in the business for this long?
I have been very lucky that I have a lot of people around me who support me and love me, but never elevate me beyond what is possible and probable. And that's really important. I have people, love is empowering, but it doesn't have to make you into an egocentric person. It should make you capable of doing things. Power doesn't have to be so in your face. I think it's when people are more they're not as sure that they can accomplish things that they start becoming very arrogant about things.
I think you're right. I think an insecurity might take over.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
too.
listen, God knows I have my insecurities.
We all do.
Yeah, but the people that I started working with early in my career, Brian Lasser was a very important part of that, who I met in Chicago, and we worked together for 16 years. And Brian very much was a realist, but loved who I was. Whatever that package was, it was fun to explore and collaborate. It wasn't about correcting anything. It was more about just growing into who we were.
I think that's amazing too, because then that does not restrict the creativity or restrict who you are, because we all uniquely bring something to the table as artists.
Right, and that's what you want, is that unique quality. You want to have that, special you. Boy, that sounds so cliche, but it really is.
That's true.
It's finding, all the parts of you that work together that make you special.
I agree. And speaking of being special, you mentioned that you've been able to stay grounded and humble, and people love you, but you haven't taken yourself maybe too seriously. But I really admire you. We talked about this off camera, how you've been able to be successful on the Broadway stage, in the cabaret world, and been able to balance both. And I mean, I know it's not about maybe necessarily the awards for you, but you have won 12 MAC Awards. You're receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award on March 26th at the MAC Awards at Sony Hall. And I want to applaud you for that, because what it says to me is that it's a testament of working hard, showing up, being true to yourself, owning your craft, and allowing yourself to continue to grow. I feel.
Yeah, and the growth is the most important thing to me. It always has been. I mean, it's always hard to talk about yourself, but in those terms, but I always doing something new, expanding and learning more about myself, because geez, throughout my life as we get older, what I want is different than when I was younger. You know, when I started, all I wanted was my name and lights, you know, and a limo taking me there. And, you know, as I've gotten older, I just want people in the audience and people sharing
Yes.
a cabaret stage with me. Or if I'm doing a show, you know, a theatrical show, to have people appreciate, you know, the work that goes into what we do. And, you know, so things change. And I have to say, I feel very lucky that I've been able to do both theater and cabaret and pretty much anything that, you know, gets thrown in my path. Because to me, it informs everything else. Brian was really good. And, I know he's not here. He died in 92. But you know that when you start out, that those first people in your life are so impactful. And Brian was always about take whatever you can, because that will always inform, you know, coming back to me. If you get that show, coming back and working with me is only going to be that much better. If you go and do a cabaret, you're going to be that much, you know, you're going to be that much more aware of who you are as a performer.
That's true. Interesting, we're talking about this. When you stand on the cabaret stage now, for instance, this new show for the first time, what is the main thing that's the difference for you? I mean, obviously, I know enough because I'm a performer as well. I mean, cabaret, you're really sharing your own story, and you're not necessarily playing a character like on Broadway. But for you, what's the different feeling for you? What does it do for you?
There's probably a lot more fear involved with getting up in front of it's not even getting up in front of a cabaret audience, because, you know, I do love doing it.
Right.
And I feel very comfortable on a cabaret stage. But it's always that initial, you know, that song, "Will you like me when we meet?" That's kind of, you know, the first few minutes of a cabaret show. You have the full responsibility of that, setting the tone for that show.
And you have to lead it.
Yeah.
And it's connecting. It's for me, when I've played roles before on stage, maybe in theater, it's you want to tell the story and become the character, but you're not supposed to worry, or not worry, but you're not connecting this way to somebody.
Right. It's not
you're more like sharing the story, where in cabaret, it's literally like, you want that connection. So I do completely understand with that it's a level of, I really have to show up now on this stage and connect.
Yeah. I mean, you know, certainly during Love Never Dies, and I certainly would not say this to my employers, but there were times over the past year and a half where you're thinking, gee, I wonder what I'm going to have for dinner. You know, I mean, it's reality.
Well, because you've done it so much.
That's right, and you're kind of tired from all the travel, and you love where you are, and you love the people you're working with, but, you know, there's a repetition.
That's true.
That happens, and sometimes your mind just goes, you know, and I got hungry over those 2.5 hours. But, you know, I don't have that luxury of being able to, you know.
You have to be very present.
You have to be really present.
Really show up.
And there's the great thing about cabaret is for me, I think you have to really feel confident enough to want to share something with somebody.
Yes.
And confident that they're going to want to share it back. Because it is a communication. You know, it's not just I'm singing and, you know, they are out there laughing and crying and hopefully.
Right.
And applauding. And, you know, it is, I feel it's as much a conversation as right now, being on stage and singing to a cabaret audience.
Connection.
Yeah. And I was very lucky when we started out. God, I really sound like an old person now. You know, when I was young. When we started out, we got a chance to learn who we were. Because we did 5 nights a week. And sometimes 3 shows a night. And, you know, you learn who you are pretty darn fast when people are coming in and, you know, just hoping they find somebody to take home at the end of the night. and it's not you. And so you do learn a great deal about who you are, who you need to be in a connection with an audience, and what appeals to you as a performer, because it is a personal statement.
It is a personal statement. Now, speaking of making a personal statement, connecting, and performing on the cabaret stage, what about this show that's now March 20th through the 23rd?
Yes.
7 p.m. shows, so that's 4 shows to be able to see Miss Karen Mason, which you do not want to miss. You got to make sure to come out and see her. What can we expect? What is it about? We know it's for the first time, but what kind of songs?
Well, the genesis of the idea was that over the 4 billion years that I've been singing, that I've done a lot of demos and had the good fortune to get to know a lot of really great songwriters. And so I originally started out wanting to do the song called Dance that Amanda McBroom wrote when I did Heartbeats. And she said that she had played the lead character before, but she was the songwriter, so it really didn't matter to her whether she sang or not. She probably was happy or not. But I was playing it out at good speed and I said, Amanda, I want to listen. I'm happy to listen to everybody else sing, but I'd like a song. And she, I probably didn't say it as coherently like that.
Write me a song.
I probably said I was whined backstage or something.
Yeah.
And, but she did. She said that this song she wrote with me in mind. And so it's a beautiful song. So that was kind of the genesis of it. I just wanted to do songs I had never performed on a cabaret stage. And so we're putting it together now. And, I should have probably been a little bit less, I should have maybe expanded that all new thing, because now I'm in the process of trying to memorize it. And
that's why it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. You're like, and I promise, it's new, exciting, and memorized.
Yeah, well, now I have a lot more compassion and sympathy for the people who have those iPads. And, if I could have one in the far back with very large print, it would be good. But it's a lot of new songs, a lot of songwriters I've worked with. We're doing a song that Billy Goldenberg wrote. Now, this is not a song he wrote for me, but
it's still new for you, and it's new material.
That's right, and Billy is a friend. I've had the good fortune of singing for Charles Strauss and Sheldon Harnick. And I mean, these are Burton Lane when he was alive. And the funny thing about them, boy, they are a generation of songwriters, because it was, Sammy Cahn. I was doing this thing honoring Burton Lane, and it was at Town Hall. And Burton was a lovely man, was a truly lovely man, and his wife Lynn. And he was sitting in the audience. Well, Sammy Cahn was backstage, and I was singing, hey, buds below, up is where to grow. And Sammy Cahn is backstage, and he goes, hey, girl. And it's like, wait a minute, this is Sammy Cahn.
Going, hey, girl.
Yeah, hey, girl. And he was telling me he loved the way I sang, and he said, the generation of songwriters was, hey, I've got some stuff, I'm going to send it to you. I'm thinking, this is Sammy Cahn saying he's going to send me songs.
So I think that's your moment where you're like, maybe I really have made it.
I wish I had pictures now of me with all of these people. That's why, I wish I were better at Instagram and taking pictures. But, to be able to meet those people and have them compliment you, even just meeting them. The Bergmans,
Brilliant.
Yeah, these are people who are such an important part of the American songbook.
Of course, and you're representing and introducing so many newer songs, even whether they've been written before you or not, or written for you. It's like you said, this is for the first time,
right.
Even if it's for you presenting it.
Right.
And so this is what's so exciting, everybody. Not only do you get to see the amazing Karen Mason, but you get to hear all of this new repertoire that she is presenting and sharing March 20th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, 7 p.m. at the Birdland Theater. I really thank you for spending time with me today.
Thank you.
I
It's
really,
been a pleasure.
again, want to congratulate you for the Lifetime Achievement Award,
Thank you.
the MAC Awards, and
Thanks, Mac, for
thank
giving
you,
it
Mac,
to me.
and
Yeah.
yeah, for the community, the cabaret community of New York City especially, and we appreciate you, and thank you for being the humble, loving, wonderful person, and for continuing to share your talent, but share your heart as well. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.